it is now time for us to see the next piece of the puzzle. We'll just gotta build it up a little bit as we go. So we got a little GUI going on here. That's nice. But now let's say we want the total purchased. So we're going to get kind of crazy with this one. So let's just come down here. Let's get rid of Webpack, or our terminal down here. Const total purchased equals the box. We throw the data into the box. Now we can get rid of our freeze. We already know how to do that. Just going to filter it. Y. Y.free is not equal to 1. Okay. Let's say, just for posterity's sake, we want to see what this looks like at this point in time. So let's make a function up here. We'll call it trace. And we're going to say that it takes in an x. And it's going to console.log x. And then it's just going to return x. That's the key. It has to return x. So we're going to put a trace here in the middle of our chain, because all this is just chaining maps. We're just chaining map.filter, 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 map.reduce. So if we're going to put something in the middle, it at least has to allow a pass through, if that makes sense. So right now TypeScript's not happy. It's like, what's going on? This has an any type. So let's just make it generic of type T. We always use T. And we'll say X is of type T. And then that's really all we need to do for the trace. Excuse me. So for this trace, I believe, yeah, we're going to do a map. Map x idea array, and we're just going to call trace and pass in x. And if we go and fold this now, and then log it to the console, what do we get? Oh, we get a really weird problem there. I wonder if it's that guy. Let's see. Okay, so he's going crazy. He's going crazy. He's going crazy. He's going crazy. Oh, there's something else already going crazy in there, isn't there? What would be causing all of these consoles? It's absolutely amazing. Well, that's a problem. Voila. Okay. A little weirdness going on there. That's alright. Got in a funky state. So we have our trace right here. Let's get rid of this log. This log. Okay, there we go. So now it does appear that our trace is happening twice. So if we took it out. Oh, because we're console logging it, so we can get rid of the console log. And now we have nothing. We'll put our trace back in there. So all makes sense, right? So that's where we're at in this point in time. So we can just use this little trace utility and see what our data looks like. Fair enough. And it's passing through, so we can still fold it and we can still console log it. And that all still works fine. Okay, so now what we need to do, let's see. So we did our tracing. The other alternative is to add tracing to our box itself. Make it like an internal mechanism of the box. So go up to the box. Oh, I think we already put a trace function on here. You may or may not have that. I do not know. I'm surprising myself here. But we can do like console log internal trace. And then we'll JSON.stringify it. And then we'll return. We'll put it back in the box and then send it back out on its way. So if we were to use that functionality, we could do something like, I'll comment that one out. We could do, and for here we could just do like a dot trace. And that's it. Like that's all you have to do. We'll get 2 of those. So it's JSON stringified. It's not great. If you un-JSON stringify it, may not be the best bang for your buck. You're going to get a bunch of objects. So we're just going to JSON.stringify it. And then if we come back over here to the index and put our trace, other trace back in there. And whoops. Let's take that out of there. There we go. So we'll leave that for now. We'll take this trace out. Because really, this trace is kind of better. Kind of better. Let's see if we can fix our other trace. I'm really curious. What about if we just let's put this trace back in there. We'll take this one out. Yeah. Looks pretty good. I wonder if we go like that. Yeah, that works. For some reason, just the back ticking of it was very weird, isn't it? So I'm just going to undo that a couple times. Yeah, no, I'm down with that totally. I think that's awesome. So yeah, we'll take that trace. Super simple. Internal. Alright. So, we got some debugging going on. That's super important. Now what we need to do is come back and finish our task at hand. So we got rid of our free items. Now what we need to do is take the units and multiply them by the cost. And then take the cases and multiply them by the cost so we can add them all up. So here we're going to see something a little bit new. Instead of filter or reduce, we're going to throw map back in here. And this is going to be Y. And now you may be thinking we could do something like, an object and say cases would be like 1 and units would be like 2. It just doesn't like it. And then you might be thinking we could say, alright, well, let's fix the cases. So that's going to be parse int y.cases as string times parse float y.cost as string, and then units, say 3. Let me get rid of the sidebar. It's like, no, it doesn't like it. So probably the easiest way to do this, let's just take everything out of the curly braces. And it's going to be a lot simpler to see it this way. We'll cut it, Control X, and we're just going to wrap these curly braces in parentheses. We're going to paste this back in, save it, and then we'll fix our units right here. So we'll say parse int y.units, or as string, sorry, times parse float y.cost as string, and then we'll say return item y.return item. So what does that look like? You gotta love that trace, right? So now each one has a total of the cases and the total of the units, and we know if it's a return item or not. It's going to come in handy. If there's any returns, I don't know. Are there any returns? Looks like there's not. We could do, let's just add, we'll just make 1. We'll go to our data. Go up to number 1, make it a return item. And now, yeah, 1's a return item. Awesome. So now what we can do is come down here and run another map. And we'll say x.reduce, and we got our accumulator and our current. We're going to put our comma 0 in there, not an equal sign. And what we'll say is if the current, or we need to say accumulator, no, we need to say current.return item. Then we'll say take the accumulator and subtract the current.cases plus the current.units. Otherwise, take the accumulator and add the current.cases plus the current.units. Makes sense, right? If it's refund, subtract both the units and the cases that came out of each object. Otherwise, add them. But TypeScript is not happy here. High int. That's very interesting. Or big int, I'm sorry, not high int. I don't know where I saw high int. Big int. Alright, So what we can do here is, it sees this as a number. ACC is a number. This is a generic. So there's a couple ways to handle this one. We could just say plus at the beginning. That fixes that. You do that. You could also say number. That would suffice. Or you could do parse float. Something like that. But that gets a little crazy. So you have options. Leave them all up on the board. And here we can already see that we have 221.02. So let's do our little trick with the two fixed and add our $sign. We know it's a number. Since this is currency, this is what it cost us. Oh, we'll look at 3. We'll look at 3. Why not? Let's see what happens. No, not a big difference. But, I mean, I guess it depends on the numbers and all that. So, yeah, so that, I know this was a long video. That is going to be how we can get our total purchased amount.